And thank you for inviting me to this important conference. At the outset, I interacted with Dr. Swaminathan last 2 decades. I've read his papers, books. I learned a lot from him on agriculture, security, climate change, sustainability. But my presentation is also mostly on his ideas on these topics and also, of course, the present context, agriculture sustainability. So I've prepared a PowerPoint. So the talk briefly examines, what are the changes needed in agriculture to achieve the green revolution, also the hunger, fever, sustainability, climate change. So this is in the context of ideas and policies advocated by Sona. Of course, they are relevant in the present context of revolution pathways to. So we have to change the narrative of agriculture. We know it's not just a production kind of thing, but towards diversification. Yesterday, the Prime Minister was talking about diversification. The higher farm incomes and well-being, also more interest in farm incomes. High product with less inputs, technology and other things which small talk. Of course, the inclusive also is needed because the small farmers are India, 86% are small farmers. So we can't compete with advanced countries. That's what the Prime Minister was telling us today. That tariffs, we have to protect our agriculture and dairy. And also it has to be nutrition sensitive. Because earlier there was no interaction between agriculture and nutrition. But now some interaction is happening. It has to be nutrition sensitive. And of course sustainable agriculture and climate resilient. So that these things are added now for agriculture, the nutrition, the climate resilient, and somebody called it HURS, the healthy, equitable, disparate, resilient and sustainable agriculture. So this is the narrative we need. Of course, here all the things come: technology, water management, the climate change. On sustainability and evergreen revolution, of course, on green revolution, Dr. Swaminathan mentioned the public policy is important. It's not technology alone. It's also, for example, remunerative prices. The MSP played an important role also that time. And also procurement played an important role in the green revolution. Because people forget it's only a technology that played a role. But the public policy in terms of, is also equally important. Of course, on evergreen revolution, Dr. Swaminathan appealed even in 1968 when there was a green revolution, not to harm the long-term production potential, particularly Punjab farmers. He mentioned them that don't harm the production potential for short-term gain. So which happened when lot of chemicals and other things also used. Soil and happened. Then they coined, of course, the term evergreen revolution. Basically, what is evergreen revolution? With the ecological concern, the integrated pest management, integrated nutrient supply, conservative farming. Of course, this has guidance for our present policies of climate change and sustainability. So, repurposing of agriculture is needed. So, what is the support we have for agriculture? $800 billion support for agriculture. How do we repurpose? Because a study by Will Martin and others, shows the following results regarding support to agriculture. Most for market distorting support, sustainable practices. Out of that 800, only 106 is for public goods. That is about 31% for R&D, extension and services and rural infrastructure. So out of 800, only 106 are for public goods. The others are more distorting kind of subsidies. And then the rates of support is uneven across countries. Advanced countries' support is very high compared to India and other countries. So many are distorted subsidies. So they have done a study, impact of 4 scenarios and 4 key goals. So suppose you abolish all the 800 billion, and then existing support, then farm output declines, and cost of healthy diet rises, small impact on emissions. And shift support to organic farming. Because organic farming, we don't know the yields, food output may go down, food costs up, and potentially large emission reduction, because we don't use other things, but may induce land use change. But the best scenario is shift to R&D and for green innovation. So it raises productivity and lower emissions, higher food output, and of course poverty will be lower, and also healthier diets, dramatic reduction in emissions. So according to them, this is the best scenario: green innovation and also shift to R&D. The fourth one, shifting support to healthy foods. We have small impacts alone, but can reinforce supply side measures. But the best one is the third one, because R&D, even in India, still lower. I think increasing. But we have to improve the research and extension, and also shift subsidies to green innovation. So that is the best scenario where lower emissions will be there. And climate resilient agriculture, of course, the yields are declining because of heat waves and other things. And Dr. Swaminathan talked about the resilient crops, the millets and pulses, and climate resilient varieties, which ICAR is also doing now. And so basically the sustainability, the land, water, energy, common resources, forests, and these we need to have. And coming to the next one, hunger and malnutrition. Swaminathan talked about hunger at 3 dimensions: calorie deprivation, protein hunger, inadequate consumption of pulses, milk and all. And third, of course, the hidden hunger, the micronutrient deficiencies. But also you have to get it apart from biofortification, which many crops, naturally biofortified crops like moringa, sweet potato, and maize, which he was talking about. So basically, there are 5 challenges of achieving zero hunger for the world. Of course, Sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, more. The recent FAO 2025 Nutrition Security report says still we have 8.2% of population in suffering from undernourishment, and Sub-Saharan Africa it is 22, of course, percent higher, and then South Asia 11%. And stunting among children, world is still 23%, and Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia similar. And anemia, of course, the all women face, it's the highest in South Asia. It's about 49% in South Asia compared to Sub-Saharan Africa 36%, and even for the world it's about 30%. Another one, of course, the healthy diets. We can't afford healthy diets, about 4.46. Even at the world, 32% they can't have things. And Sub-Saharan Africa can't afford. There's a typo there. It says can afford. It's can't afford. 72.1% in Sub-Saharan Africa can't afford the healthy diets. And South Asia, it's also high. But at the same time, of course, obesity is increasing, 15% in the world. And also Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia is lower than the world, but it's also increasing. So these are the 5 challenges which, about the zero hunger, we have to keep in mind and have policies on that. And many healthy foods are unaffordable for low-income consumers. For example, Gate Foundation shows in Nigeria, one egg costs about 44% of their income. Similarly, in India, 16% of their income. So it's becoming difficult to buy the healthy foods. This we have, you must have seen already, the addressing nutrition challenges requires a multi-sectoral approach. And on social protection, I think Dr. Swaminathan was talking more about that. Particularly, he was fond of the public distribution system in India. He wanted to have not only rice and wheat, but also pulses, millets in the social protection schemes. So the food systems approach, people are talking about for reducing hunger and also even for climate change and others. UN food system in 2021. Now recently we had in Addis Ababa, food system summit +4. So what are the learnings in that? Some countries were successful in food systems transformation. For example, some of the countries have done well in Rwanda, Vietnam, Brazil, Colombia, they have done well in the food system transformation. But they all had significant attention to science and innovation. So how food systems transformation, which Professor Swaminathan emphasized the science. So there these countries have used, and science is continued to make a strong contribution to agri food systems transformation. And also it is successful when it is reasonably funded, when its freedom is protected, and science-based truth respected. So these are the lessons, in the recent the UN Food System Summit +4 was talking about. And the key recommendations of that food summit are that you establish cross-ministerial coordination bodies to synchronize nutrition. We've been talking about this convergence for a long time. And explicitly recognizing the rights of the indigenous people is also important. And decentralizing authority to urban and local governments because urbanization is increasing, and so we need to have more powers for municipal corporations and all. And investing in foresight training, science policy interface, and of course technology, which Dr. Small also talked about, and critically repurposing agricultural subsidies that I already mentioned that. But even 2021 Food System Summit, they proposed 7 key areas. One is end hunger and improve diets, and de-risk food systems, protect equality and rights, and also they talked about bioscience and biohappiness in the UN Food System Summit in 2021, and enhance aquatic food and livestock, and soils and biodiversity and all. So they are relevant even today. Of course, it was in 2021, the 7 proposals they have mentioned. And Dr. Swaminathan, of course, apart from the food systems, also the farming systems, he advocated strengthening linkages between agriculture and nutrition. One example he always used to talk about is his Putnad experience, where the farmers grow 1 crop of rice and 1 crop of fish during non-rainy season, reflecting farming systems approach. Inequalities, Dr. Ismail also talked about. Inequalities are rising in most of the countries. It's important for reducing hunger and achieving climate resilient agriculture. inequalities between small and large farmers and other social groups. Of course, throughout his career, Dr. Swaminathan emphasized the role of women in development, in protecting the environment, agriculture, and combating malnutrition. So, last two slides in conclusion to the environmental degradation and climate change, digitalization of agriculture, and changes in diets and have emerged as the latest trends. So they're both challenges too, and also opportunities for improving agri and food systems. So in the next decade beyond, we need to have these policies to tackle the climate adaptation mitigation in the region's food systems. Of course, research and policy partnerships, not only with the Ministry of Agriculture and national think tanks, but we need to have with other ministries, the finance, environment, commerce, and women and child welfare, as well as other national institutions. Also, South-South cooperation is important. Now, of course, it is now happening now recently, which is important for regarding climate change and other things, because advanced countries not talking much about the climate change now. So at global level, we need cooperation, of course, particularly South-South and national level. But our individual level, lifestyle for environment, which the Prime Minister is talking about, because individually also we can contribute a daily, remove of plastic and other many things we can contribute daily, which is also equally important for achieving these, reducing the carbon emissions. Of course, focus on science and technology is important. Because Swaminathan, of course, he was not only renowned agriculture scientist, but he was also a development thinker and also a humanist. So his life and work inspired many people, including the youth. I hope this inspiration will guide all of us to achieve the evergreen revolution for biohappiness, hunger-free world, climate resilience, and farmers. Thank you very much.